Come on.
That was pretty good, Dan.
3,
Almost.
2.
Do we have insurance?
Why does your chair go back so far?
I don't know. Almost fell off. Do we have insurance?
Dan, switch chairs. It shouldn't go back that far. Because you're gonna end up falling on your ass.
Everybody
He
went
went back.
All right, we're live.
All right.
Is that
Dan.
better?
So
Do you want to wear? I was just bringing it up.
No, my doctor
You-
already
you-
told me that I can't be, that mask, I'm breathing that stuff into my lungs.
I hear you.
And my lungs right now are not good.
I hear you.
Dan, do you want me to make you a cotton mask?
can I let
Well,
people in,
there's
Mario?
this, that square thing that they're talking about, that turtle thing that's advertised on TV. It's supposed to help.
Work them.
I can make
Okay.
you a cotton mask.
Yeah.
100% cotton.
Canada, I have to
Paper
get to
one is
him
actually the
and
thinnest.
The phone number, right?
on and
Yeah, this is the
the,
thinnest, actually.
Okay, hold off for-
It's keep saying breathing in from.
No, I'm breathing them in. I can't breathe in.
What?
Breathing in the fiber.
Ed Dion is in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm breathing in, I'm breathing stuff in and it's backing up into my lungs.
The fibers from the synthetic, which cotton wouldn't do that.
I got a whole lot of cotton ones if you want. Oh, Ed is with
Wow,
us
the
now.
camera's
huh?
coming out.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Ed.
It's the same camera, right? I was just gonna say,
What? It says that I've been signed out. It says that I've been signed out.
No, you're still
didn't.
there. I still see you.
I've been signed out because you're currently signed on another device. I didn't change it.
Ooh, there's a roach.
Should I ignore it?
You get them?
Yep.
Am I signed in as you? No.
No, don't close that.
Yeah.
It's right there. You see.
No, it's because you were there, so and to another device.
Ed, can you hear me?
Yes.
I didn't see you today at the league. They had other lawyers, associate members. I guess nobody from your firm came on, right?
No, we don't. We generally don't participate in those.
Okay. Okay.
Good
Just-
evening, Commissioner
Just Gray
Kennedy.
Robinson was there represented.
Hey, Dan.
Oh, good. You heard me? How did it sound?
You sound dandy.
Good, good.
Were our friends from Gray Robinson there with you today, Jenny?
Yeah,
Or are we waiting for Art?
No, Art's gonna be from
I don't
home.
know who it was. It was somebody,
I see.
the name.
Oh, you guys are wearing, oh, you have microphones there now. I forgot all about that. Awesome.
I was asking you how you heard me.
Like grown-up people now.
No, you all sound great. Oh, I see. And there's the log cabin. There's the full view. Very cool.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Gonzalez.
Oh,
You looking? Everybody's looking around like, where's he talking from?
I see. So Judy, Ginny, and Dan show is muted because you're talking into microphones. I get it.
Yes, yes.
Very slick. Are you home, Art?
Art's home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Hey, Art.
All the village people are here. I love it.
Oh, what?
All
Oh,
the village people.
what they call us now? When are you gonna start singing?
That's I have to have a couple of glasses of wine.
Oh, so we can't see any residents until, oh, I see. Okay, this is very different now. So is this all we're going to see is just the log cabin and us?
I have no idea.
Is that how it works, Mario?
Say again?
No, sir, we're just setting everything up and getting everybody pinned before we allow everybody in.
I see. Okay. But then after public comment, they go back into a waiting room?
No, not for this meeting.
No? Okay. Not for this one, okay. Not
No.
until you set up that other streaming thing.
Correct.
Got it. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Paul Winklejohn, haven't seen you for a while.
How come the screen is like full?
Okay, so
Then I don't know.
everybody's
God,
pinned.
I'm freezing. Okay, here come people. There's Valerie. How you doing, Valerie? Thank you for that email earlier today.
Hi, good evening.
Now I can go play Hardy Boys, now that I know what I'm looking for.
I can start.
Did you cut your hair, Valerie, or do you normally have your hair pulled back?
I did, I
You cut
cut
it?
it. Thank you for noticing.
It's very cute. It's very cute. I'm in the hair business, so I notice hair.
I appreciate it.
No offense, Art. I didn't comment on your new hairstyle, Art.
I got it. Yeah, I'm a little offended, frankly.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be starting in about 3 minutes.
Hey, Rosemary. Oh, she went black. This is a small crowd, isn't it?
No, it says there's 20 people on.
It's funny because oh, they're in the waiting room, I bet. You probably see what's in the waiting room. We can't see that.
21 people now. Everybody ready? Good evening, everybody. This is a virtual public meeting, February 2nd. It is 7 p.m. Roseanne, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor House,
Present.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez,
Here?
Commissioner Hammerberg, Commissioner Kennedy,
I'm here.
Commissioner Samaria,
Present.
Thank you. Dan, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? United States of America, to the flag Are there any additions, deletions, or withdrawals to the agenda? Has anybody, deletions or withdrawals?
No,
I don't see anyone. Okay. Our business will be presentations. Proclamation. Whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1920 of Negro History Week by Carter Woodson and the Association for the Studies of African American Life and History. And whereas the 2020 national theme for the observance is Black families, representation, identity, and diversity. This explores the African discordia and the spread of Black families across the United States. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals. And whereas the village of Biscayne Park continues to work towards becoming an all-exclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. And whereas the village of Biscayne Park is proud to honor the history and contributions of African American community throughout our state and nation. Whereas be it resolved that I, Virginia O. Halpin, Mayor of the Village of Biscayne Park, joined by the entire commission, and do hereby proclaim February 2021 to be Black History Month. I encourage all citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and loving.
Ginny, may I make a comment about that, please? It's Mac.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Can you? Yeah. First of all, I'm having a really hard time hearing you. I didn't hear most of the proclamation, just as an FYI. I don't know what it sounds like in the room, but I really didn't hear that. I read it along with you, but just so you know, people can't hear very well. I just want to make a comment about the Black History Month proclamation. First, I'm just glad that we're doing these on a regular basis. And for folks who may be looking to learn more about African-American contributions in our American society, if you go to pbs.org, they have a full slate of fabulous programming set up this month that I was looking at online this morning, from documentaries and series and all kinds of great things for people who are looking to learn more about that topic.
Thank you. Financial quarterly update. Paul Winklejohn.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've circulated, actually today I have two reports. I'll sort of get through both of them together if that's okay. The first one, of course, is I typically try to give an overview of our financial position quarterly. The least valuable normally is the first quarter. The first quarter being we have very little revenue because our tax revenue has just started to come in and the expenses lag behind a month. So it's really barely a month or two snapshot of the year. It's important today because we constructed our 2021 fiscal year budget with some unknowns regarding revenue. And because of those unknowns, we deferred a significant list of items, capital items, as well as operational items. That was also tied to the advent of hiring a new village manager, which happened. With those conditions, we were able to track very carefully the revenue, particularly revenue related to revenue sharing from the state of Florida. that revenue was in the summer predicted a 50% shortfall. So when we adopt our budget, as you know, we do it quite early. We set our income estimates. We went ahead and incorporated that 50%, knowing that it's probably less than that, but good or prudent budgeting required that. I'm happy to report that the actual revenue is tracking closer to 14%. And I mentioned in our budget process, for those that were on the Village Council and those that are new to it, you probably were informed through that process that we would take a deferred amount of money. Should the revenue track better than projected, we would bring back to you an amendment bringing those wanted expenses into the budget when the revenue would match it. And with your village manager's direction, that is what is advised. So in those items, you may remember there were generators, there was a few personnel concepts. Mac spearheaded a lot of those, but obviously the village manager will take today's needs or tomorrow's needs into the exact proposal at a later time. The second thing I wanted to report is, I probably should have said this, always lead with the good news. The FEMA reimbursement was received of $820,000. That was also a contingent item on whether we would consider the deferred items. We also discussed retiring our outstanding loan. It's about a $220,000 payoff. Those funds are now available easily, and that will also continue to be my recommendation, which would be again brought to you at a future meeting. So that's all good news in terms of better revenue predictions and all approvals from the FEMA appeal process. So congratulations for that. The overall condition of the village with better revenue projections, early indications are that the housing market is in a significant upswing in terms of sale values. And also, I would not be surprised if we are expecting a high level of renovations to continue. So that affects your ad valorem revenue. So basically across the board, your revenue has no threats due to the COVID environment and other environments. And I'm confident that we're going to realize our expected revenues, and with good stewardship, our expected expenses will track accordingly. So that's my budget overview in a nutshell. Not a lot of nuts and bolts in this conversation because, again, we're only looking at 1.5 months worth of actual expenses. Moving on to the other good news. The CITT 10-year audit was concluded, and we received the final memo from CITT. I've circulated that. It's a very complicated story to try to tell, and I'm not going to try to tell it because there are so many moving parts and variables that you get in the weeds really quickly in a CITT discussion. But the good news is that the amount of money we've received over 10 years was validated and correctly accounted for. And we also identified very carefully the amount of money we claimed against that. And those two variables are the essence of an audit. The good news is what was potentially a $400,000 overutilization of those funds, or underutilization of those funds would have to be returned. We were able to, through incredible grunt work, I'll call it, of the Ross family, as well as my staff that I assigned to this project, to go through boxes. I even had the pleasure of digging through some boxes myself for a few days. And we found enough records and understand that the records we documented were not only hard to find because they were not organized in any fashion, they were not directly labeled or identified as this is a CITT expense, it should have been claimed and it should tie to our account. We had to infer a lot of the expenses. And what I mean by that was we had to say, we took payroll record and said these people worked in public works, so 30% of their salary. That was the level of forensic calculations we had to present to make the argument. and it was a successful argument. And I applaud CITT for their flexibility and understanding, as well as the parties I mentioned in their hard work to use good accounting principles to prove our case. So congratulations again. I'm here only with good news, by the way. So with those two pieces, there's the next step with your CITT will be to get information from your auditor to authorize the journal entry. There are a few changes that were identified, nothing of significance or material to report today. But I like to have the outside auditor who was not party to this audit be the one to say, yes, that's the amount of money you should put into the general fund. And it's about, I think it's about $111,000. But again, I'm going to let them tell us. So that concludes the overview of my report. Mario, if I missed anything that you had asked me to say, I hope I didn't, but it's in my memos. And I did catch, I was tipped off that there was a typo, the $250,000 to $400,000 error in the CITT funds or evidence. There was a zero missing on both of those. I apologize for that.
Thank you. Mario, do you have any questions for Paul?
No, I don't have any questions for.
Okay. Couple of comments.
I'm sorry, Ginny, may the commission ask some questions of Paul and Mario regarding what he just went over?
Sure, go ahead. Commissioner.
Okay, maybe this is for Mario. How much more are we anticipating coming in from FEMA, Mario or Paul?
We're anticipating approximately 300,000, give or take.
So 300,000 more. And any idea when that may be coming?
Unfortunately, no. We've documents requested by the Florida Department of Emergency Management. So it's on the state right now.
Okay, very good. CITT, that's all fabulous news. And that was a painful process. So thanks to everyone who wrangled that. Paul, I know you had a big part in that, you and your staff. My question is, what are we doing differently moving forward so we don't find ourselves in this position again? A lot of this was because we don't document things well. And that was a nightmare, literally digging through boxes looking for slips of paper. So what's happening differently now so we don't find ourselves in this position again in a year or 2 or 5?
I can answer that, Mario, if that's okay.
Sure, not a problem.
Yeah, so a few years ago when you hired my firm, we brought in a more recognizable professional approach. We'll put it that way. That's step one. We concluded all of your audits. That was a big problem, that you didn't have audits done for 3 years. That's a feature of this. It definitely would have corrected a lot of it had you had those audits live, real time. Those have been done. The complicated part is to have a really, really clear record of what you want to do that qualifies for CITT, and everyone who participates in that process it keeps records and it flows through. You have that built in now. So you didn't have that before. The staff were not coupled to the projects. Your budget didn't list projects correctly. It was all scattered. That's been fixed, and that will be fixed as we continue.
So it's not just receipts in a box. It's being input into the system now. So it's all in your system with the paperwork as the backup.
It's a 360-degree concept of documentation. As you imagine a project, you have to always have the CITT DNA tied to it.
Okay, got it. So you're confident, and Mario, you're confident that you guys have a system in place that will protect us from this kind of mess moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the easiest part,
okay.
Mac, is you haven't done a lot of it, so it's a lot easier. We got to fix that too.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Regarding the loan payoff, Paul, I meant to look this up myself, and I hate to put you on the spot. What is our monthly interest? What are we paying a month in interest on the loan?
It's a little under $4,000 a month.
Okay.
That you'll save, which is principal and interest.
And
so it's about $40,000 a year.
About 40,000. So across the life of the loan, what would we be saving?
There would be about $120,000 in interest, all in. If you were to run it all the way out and use future value, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So is there any reason why Paul, you're recommending that we do it. Is there any reason why the commission wouldn't just give Mario the authority to do that tonight? You said we would bring it back for a discussion later on. $4,000 a month it's not a huge amount of money, but to us it's kind of a big amount of money that we can get something accomplished with.
So I believe, although you can give me the authority to do so, we still need a budget amendment, which would come to you in March.
Okay, so do you need the authority from us, Mario, for you to be able to do that?
Not tonight, but you will have an item in March that would give me that authority.
Okay, and so that's the earliest. I'm just interested in getting it done as early as we can.
Yeah, Mac, my understanding, I'm sorry, Commissioner, I've gotten informal all of a sudden. My understanding.
I ask everyone to call me Mac, please do.
My understanding is, the way I've been trained is that if it took 2 ordinances to create a loan, it would take 2 readings and an ordinance to unravel it. But that's just how I was always taught.
Okay.
But our more skilled attorney could fix that understanding.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we get it done as quickly as we can, because it's a nice chunk of money for us to be able to spend on other things. Okay, so Mario, it sounds like we'll be seeing that in March. And I just had one quick line item question. And under the building department, professional services is really high compared to what it should be year to date. Why is that? It's really high. It's more than twice what it should be. What are we overspending on professional services in the building department?
I would bet that that's probably a couple months of expenses in a shorter period of time. I'll double check that and I'll report back to you through the village manager, but I don't think it's anything other than an expected occurrence.
Okay, just want to kind of keep an eye on that because it's really high. And there was a really high Public Works overtime number. Public Works overtime for the first quarter of the year was actually 3 times higher than what we budgeted for the entire year. And I want to make sure everyone's keeping an eye on that. I don't know what it is, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I did make a note that in three months, we spent 3 times our annual budget on Public Works overtime. Unless that's an error in the numbers, it really jumped out at me.
I'll report that through the manager. I don't think it's anything other than typical accounting snags.
And we did have a named storm late in the year, which for us is in the first quarter of the fiscal year as well. So any additional preparation or responses to probably would have ended up being overtime for that. Unfortunately, that is not.
Gotcha.
Although we prepared for it, that is not something that we can get reimbursed for FEMA because there was not sufficient damage in the village and or the county, and the state included Miami-Dade from the emergency declaration.
Okay, very good. And then one last thing. So how often, I'm very interested in us all being very transparent about the numbers and keeping an eye on things. How often will we be getting a report like we got tonight? Is this something we should expect now for every meeting or once a quarter?
I recommend quarterly because of the nuances that you're seeing in this one are usually like we described because of one-off type things. But I do monthly financials, and the manager and I have a good cycle that if anything is alarming, I'll report it and I'll be available.
And he sends those out to us. I just wondered how often we discuss them here. Yeah. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, sir.
Any other commissioners want to comment?
Talking to the mic, please.
I want to thank you for all the work you put in. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay. Commissioner Gonzalez, do you have anything to say?
No, I think Matt covered it all. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, and Commissioner Samara, you have nothing to say now. Okay, we're going to open the floor to public comments related to agenda items, good and welfare. Do we have any public comments tonight? If you do, please raise your hand. I can't believe we don't have any public comments.
So far, I don't.
Impossible.
I think that's impossible. Yeah.
Chuck.
Okay, Chuck Ross has a hand up. Chuck, go ahead.
Good evening, Chuck Ross, 111, not anymore, 2501 Northwest 30th Terrace in Gainesville. Formerly 11166 Griffin Boulevard, but I still own the house. First of all, I want to thank Paul and Jennifer, his associate, for working so diligently in getting that CITT audit done. Thank you, Paul. It took some hounding to actually get access to the records so that we could get somewhere with that. So again, thank you. And I want to wish everybody a good evening.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to make
I
public
have
comments?
Alexander and Monica, I believe it's one.
Yes, there's,
Please
Alex,
unmute
Sandra?
yourself, sir.
Hi, everybody. Alexander Bernhard, 1015 Northeast 120th Street. I was just wondering with regards to the CITT funds. I've heard a couple of mixed stories about what those can actually be used on, and I did a pretty extensive internet search as to what that can be used on, and it seems kind of like a gray area. It'd be great to get some insight from Mario or whoever can give that insight on what we could actually use those funds for. And the other comment I had was regarding the permitting process. I know that I'm not the only one that has gone through a bumpy process, and it seems that I don't know if this has anything to do with some of the overages on the building department, but it'd be interesting to know how we're being billed for these reviews, because I had many situations where I was being kind of having the permit churned several times, and instead of having to go back just once for several line items from the building side of things, I had to go back a number of times instead of just once. And I don't know how we're being billed, but it'd be interesting to know if that has any bearing on that overage that Commissioner Kennedy was speaking of. Thanks.
Okay, let me see.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Roseanne, do you see anybody? Janie
Janie
Anderson's
Anderson?
hand just went up.
Please unmute yourself. Can you unmute?
You're muted.
Sorry, got it. Janie Anderson, 11th Place, 119th Street. I very much want to thank Ginny and Roseanne, seeing you both in masks tonight, showing respect and leading by example. And Roseanne, I especially want to thank you for all your efforts at our extraordinarily lengthy code board meeting the other night. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Did you get your shot the other day, Janie?
Yes, ma'am, sure did. 4 hours and 45 minutes later, but we got him.
Okay. Gage is on, Roseanne.
Please unmute yourself, Gage.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm not sure why my camera is not working, but I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, just wanted to shout out to Manager Diaz and say thank you for a great workshop on Saturday. I think it went really well. I think the residents were able to give their input. They were able to listen to a very good presentation. You took the time. You were very patient. You answered all the questions that were asked of you. And I just think it was a really good idea to let everybody express their views and their concerns in a public forum that, they had the time to do it. And hopefully on any other large item thing that we might come up, you might consider doing it again. But I just wanted to give a shout out and say thank you, Mr. Manager. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Is there anybody else?
let me sweep one more time.
Roseanne, do you see anybody?
No, I don't see anybody else, Mayor. Yep, no, I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody. Okay. Are there any commission replies to the citizen comments? Okay, seeing no hands, we'll go to the village commission reports.
Mayor, I think Commissioner Kennedy wanted to say something.
Commissioner Kennedy, did you?
Well, real quickly, just for Alex's benefit, Alex asked for some explanation on how CITT funds can be used by the village. Alex, you can talk to Mario about that, but it's one of the things he's working on for us is some capital improvement projects and other ways that that money can be used. So I think you're going to see Mario coming back to us in the coming months with some ideas for that money.
And I'll also have briefly touch it during my manager's report.
Is any Vice Mayor Gonzalez, do you have any commission reports?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, Commissioner Hammelberg?
You
do.
Let me get closer to my mic. The county, Miami-Dade County, offers mom and pop small business grants through a program every year. About 15 years ago, my small business applied for it and we did get some funding. I believe the maximum you can get is $5,000. It bought us a new computer and printer and a few other things, and it was a really big asset. It's not related to COVID-19, but in light of COVID-19, I think we have a lot of small mom and pop businesses around, and it would go through Sally Heyman's office. That's District 4 at miamidade.gov, and I believe the manager has a copy of the flyer as well. So anybody who's interested, there's certain things that you can use the money for, but it's worth checking into if you have a small business. It was a really big asset to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mayor, if I may. And Commissioner Hammelberg did forward me that flyer. So tomorrow we'll be sending that via e-blast and posting it on our website and next door as well.
Okay. Commissioner Kennedy, do you have any reports?
Actually, I do. So we're fully functioning in 2021 now. We're in our second month of the year, and Mario's working on his goals and reporting back to us. So now I'm ready to start on my first personal project for the village for 2021. And I just want to let you folks know about it. And it's going to be the consideration of what's called a McMansion ordinance for Biscayne Park. For those of you who aren't clear on what that is, those are ordinances that many cities in the country and Florida have passed, aimed at minimizing the impact of new construction, remodels, and additions to the existing neighboring properties, in addition to preserving our architectural identity, but while allowing property owners to adequately develop their investments. I'm working on this with P&Z Chair Gage Hartung, starting by researching the topic. We have a bit of work we're going to do first, just some research, and I hope to bring something back to the commission as early as possibly the March or April meeting as a discussion item, so the commission can decide if and when and how it wants to move forward. So if there are any residents out there who have an interest in possibly assisting me with that or just sharing your opinions, please reach out to me regarding McMansion ordinance. And commissioners, be aware that I'll be bringing this back to you so you can start organizing your thoughts if you want to get involved in advance through Mario or Gage yourself, obviously being sensitive to sunshine issues. I personally feel that a McMansion ordinance is critical to maintaining what I like to call our oasis in the heart of Miami, because development is happening very quickly village-wide, and in many cases, it is negatively impacting the quality of life for the neighbors around them. This will be a group effort, obviously. I'm simply starting the conversation. So I'm letting you folks know that I'll be working on that, and you'll be hearing more from me in the coming months about that.
Thank you. Commissioner Samaria?
Yes, I just want to make a comment. All items and discussions during the commission meeting were very important. As commissioners, we need to get to the point as quickly as possible. That way we will not confuse or feather each other and the residents on any of the items. It is not to say that we can't have a discussion, but we shouldn't keep on talking. Just get to hear ourselves talking. That's what I need to hear. Hopefully all commissioners will live, I think, where we had the 10-minute rule.
Okay, do we have a village attorney's report, Ed? Or do you want to save it till later?
It's not going to be very long, Mayor. Mayor and Commissioners, we are now at, we've been through 5 months. This is our 6th month as representing the village. We're privileged to do so, but we wanted to talk a little bit about the analysis we've done about the number of hours that we've been putting in on behalf of the village. Relax, I'm not going to ask for anything tonight. I just wanted to prepare a report so that y'all could see what it is that we've been doing on your behalf. So as you know, we started out in September of 2020, and obviously our biggest month of expenditure was in November, when we had so many meetings regarding the selection and appointment of the village manager. The good news, at least from my perspective, is that my hours now have gone significantly down since Mario was hired. Valerie's is remaining just about the same. So what we're just so you know, in the 5 months that we've been doing this through January, we put in over 300 hours, which is 60 hours a month. You know, if you were paying us at our rates, you know, that would be significantly more than what we're currently have agreed to. And we're not going to change that agreement. We're going to stick with it. But I think in order for us to make this viable, we're going to have Valerie take more of the lead on stuff. I will still be around. I'm still going to participate in meetings, but I want you folks to deal specifically with her. She runs a bunch of stuff through me, but in order to make it more financially feasible for us, we need to have Valerie spend more of her time so that I can spend my time on other things going forward. Again, you know, we feel very privileged to be the village's attorney. We'll continue to do what we've been doing. I don't want to adjust anything financially. We made an agreement. We're going to stick with our agreement. But I wanted you folks to know how much we have expended year to date, so that you can see, you know, that we've spent quite a bit of time. And based upon my conversations with Mario and Valerie, there's a lot more work for us to do in the upcoming months. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I wanted you to know, since we said we'd do it at 6 months, this is technically the 6th month, although we haven't billed you all for obviously for February yet.
Thank you, Ed. Does anybody have any questions for Ed right now? Okay.
Well,
we
just
go
Mr.
up to the
Mr.
manager's
Dern,
report.
You're going to give us that report at the March meeting, right?
You mean an updated report?
Yes.
I'll be happy to.
Okay, we'll be getting that in March. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you as well, Ed, because you mentioned that you had done an analysis that you had, so you will share that with us?
Do you want this one, or do you want to wait until we get through the month of February and get it to you 1st of March? That way you'll have all 6.
I think
that'd be great. That would be great.
Okay.
That's fine for me. And I don't know if it's appropriate to say at this time, because we're still in your 6-month window, but I personally am very pleased with the work that you guys have done for us, and you're very generous with your time and your patient explaining things when I don't necessarily understand some of the legalese. You've done some really good work for us recently on that construction ordinance, Valerie. So as a commissioner, I'm very pleased with what you're doing, and thank you for working with us on that, the way you're billing us.
Okay, Mario, would you like to give your report on the manager's report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And before I get into it, 2 quick things. First, I do want to say thank you to our legal team. In the couple of months that I've been here, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with them. They are very responsive, they're always forthright and on the money. So I appreciate being able to work on a weekly basis. Before I actually get into my manager's report, I'd like to recognize 2 addresses that were recently selected. Our Sanctuary Award for Outstanding Home Renovation for the winter of 2021. We have, I believe I see our residents here, Yamile and Julio Livingston at 11440 Northeast 10th Avenue. So 3 years ago, Yamile and Julio moved from a condo in downtown Miami to Biscayne Park, their first single family home. They moved in while planning renovations to the exterior with a mid-century aesthetic. The biggest structural change was removing the rounded porch and replacing it with a straight line portico, a new front door, wood paneling, tiled steps, and lighting to create a contemporary yet warm, welcoming entry. The roof of the house was new, so they painted it black and the house a soft white to show off the landscaping that they designed themselves for a feng shui vibe. The old concrete ribbon driveway and front walkway were replaced with a large concrete pavers, and a chain link fence made the way for wood to match the front door. Although they trimmed out the original windows of the house to contribute to the contemporary feeling, the Livingstons are already planning ahead for impact windows as their next big project. Yamile and Julio love their home, which shows by how lovingly they renovated it on a main village thoroughfare. The Biscayne Park Commission thanks them and presents the Winter 2021 Sanctuary Award for their hard work. Thank you so much. I know that they are here with us. I don't know if they'd like to maybe say a couple of words.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good
Honored
evening.
to hear us.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We're really pretty much honored. I mean, I didn't know anything about the village. My husband has been traveling around for his work, and he found the area, and I was super excited to be able to purchase a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home, and knew that we had the challenge of making it mid-century modern was my idea, and I think we kind of accomplished it through some hard work. And I really am honored that one of our neighbors actually felt that we should get this award. So thank you so much.
We're pretty humble by it. Yeah.
We're very humble, and we're going to continue to make improvement. We're not done yet. We're going to try to make some more, definitely on the inside now.
Definitely love the village.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Also joining us as the winners of the Oasis Award for Outstanding Gardens in winter of 2021, Stephen Russell and Gonzalo Garcia of 970 Northeast 117th Street. Stephen and Gonzalo moved to Biscayne Park from New York City in 1998 and quickly learned the joys of gardening in the subtropical climate. Their house sat on a standard grass lawn with little else than some black olive trees, all of which the guys started digging out to create space for the gardens and to make the property lower maintenance. With no master plan in mind, the yard took shape organically. Neighbor Rex Fisher, a bamboo grower, provided plants to create a dramatic bamboo forest featuring 6 different varieties, plus the added specialty low-light palms from around the world, along with other plants. 3 water features, which can be heard from the street, help to create a habitat for the abundant birds and other wildlife to make their home on the property, which also features a separate interior cactus garden. Stephen and Gonzalo have created one of Biscayne Park's most appealing corner properties, lovely in the daytime and at night with colored lighting, for which the commission thanks them and presents the Oasis Award for winter of 2021. Stephen and Gonzalo, I believe they are joining us as well. We can unmute, and if you'd like to say a couple words, congratulations.
Hi there. Hi. Thank you so much. We are really excited that we won this award. And we have our plants and animals that we have in our garden. We definitely were really grateful for this award, and we will continue trying to work on this garden that it never ends. And we would love to, we like the idea that some other people like it as well.
Yeah, it means a lot to be appreciated, and thank you very much. It's a labor of love. We just enjoy it so much, and it's nice to know it's been recognized. And please, when you're walking by, feel free to pop in on the sidewalk. You can look around and see a bit.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. I'd also like the Planning and Zoning Advisory Board and the Parks Board for not only receiving the nominations, but also for voting. So taking their extra time to look at all the properties and the houses up for the award.
Absolutely, yeah, we're very flattered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mayor, if you'll indulge me for my manager's report, I'll just get into it. I wrote it down so that I make sure I try to cover everything. So Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and residents, it is an honor to be with you here again. I do apologize for the update's length, but although there are not many items on this agenda, staff is diligently working towards accomplishing many of the goals over the past month. First, I would like to thank Paul Winklejohn for his presentation on the village's finances after our fiscal year's first quarter. As Mr. Winklejohn stated, I believe we are in a good position as we move forward and we begin to address several issues that the village has delayed over the past several years. A brief summary of the quarterly unaudited financials were previously sent to you via the LTC-006-2021 or the letter to the commission. Although I am still assessing and working on getting a grip on several issues, I am focused on addressing the priorities laid out for me as we have discussed in the past. In January, I have provided the commission and the residents with 6 LTCs or letters to commission. These letters are one component of enhancing the village's communications and transparency, which is one of my priorities. These letters will provide regular updates and solutions on village issues, as I've mentioned previously. Another aspect of improving communications was a recent project we completed here in the log cabin. As you may notice by now, the village upgraded the sound and audio for our meeting, and is how this sound is being used on our Zoom platform. This makes it easier for us all to communicate without having the constant feedback from our various computers and having to constantly remind people that they are muted. This upgrade also allowed for us to begin live streaming all of our meetings on YouTube. So if you take a look now at your screen, you'll see on the top left, it says live on YouTube. Although tonight's commission meeting is being live streamed, we're still learning how to use this feature. Soon we'll have a link on the YouTube live stream prior to the meeting on our website and in future communications. The YouTube live feature will allow the village to further protect our accounts and meetings from being hacked or controlled by outside parties. In today's digital world, it's not if we will be attacked, but when. Today, we've also heard our village was able to close the 2018 CITT audit with a favorable finding with the village. This was one of the priorities on my list that I am happy to close partially. Although the audit has been completed, there is still a larger issue to address with CITT. This week, Mr. Winklejohn and I will be meeting with the executive director of CITT and his staff to discuss what next steps need to occur for the village. We'll be verifying the village's funds available and using those funds for critical projects like storm drains, road repairs, and transit services. I anticipate having more details on the CITT audit and the next steps in an LTC later this week. With regards to the residents' question of what can those funds be used for, essentially those funds can only be used for the improvements and maintenance of facilities for transportation, whether it's roadway, whether it's bus stops, whether it's pedestrian traffic, it needs to have a transportation component to it. It is best practice to always get approval of the project from CITT prior to actually doing the project. And that is what part of the initial discussion with CITT will be later this week. So CITT's next steps, this leads me to our next priority of strategic budget planning. Many issues in developing the next budget correlate with the available funds for capital improvement programs. This is a critical area in improving the village's aesthetics and our residents' quality of life. Excuse me. Some of these projects include storm drain improvements, tree trimming, road repairs, and others. Soon, we will assess and present a plan for what we will start in short order. By the end of next week, we will also begin our first step in the budgeting process to get an online resident survey out to everyone. We would spread the word not only digitally, but also with a postcard for all the homes in the village. I ask that you help me share once it's available through all your networks as well. Then there will be an executive workshop to identify the village priorities for the next fiscal year. With this workshop will help the various departments prepare a budget that reflects the commission's and the community's priorities. One of the LTCs that was sent in January also speaks towards the reimbursements the village receives for funds expended and reimbursed for the CARES Act, from the CARES Act, excuse me. The village has been approved to receive 84% or $134,000 of the requested reimbursements and are waiting for the final amount of $25,559.66 to be approved for reimbursement. As of tonight, we anticipate the remaining money to be reimbursed to the village based on our prior conversations with the county. This information was also sent via LTC-003-2021. Additionally, the village has received more than $820,000 from FEMA due to Hurricane Irma. We have finalized the project and have turned all requested documents for the final $304,000 per the Florida Department of Emergency Management. We're just waiting on them to finalize their audit to release the funds. I am still working towards having a town hall to discuss FDOT Northeast 6th Avenue project. Calvin Giordano is preparing a presentation, and once I have a final draft of the presentation, I will schedule the town hall. After the town hall, I'll bring a recap for the commission, for a commission discussion at a later date, and request direction from the commission to then take back to FDOT. As I continue to work with FDOT regarding Northeast 6th Avenue, we also had an issue with the lights that they've previously installed on Northeast 6th Ave. The new light fixtures, although they look great and are a replacement for the ones that were damaged during Hurricane Irma, however, the light itself is too bright. I have discussed this with 2 project managers from FDOT and provided them with instances in where FDOT provides less bright and warmer colors, such as in Miami Beach. Unfortunately, I felt I needed to copy the FDOT district secretary because I was not pleased with the initial response by project managers. I hope to have a further update on options and solutions later this week from FDOT as well. I also wanted to advise that, as stated in LTC-002, the county has installed the permanent stop signs along Griffin Boulevard and Northeast 108th Avenue. This has slowed traffic speeds along Griffin Boulevard considerably. And in my opinion, it has made this section of the road much, much safer. Additionally, I wanted the commission to know that I have interviewed applicants for the Public Works Director. Unfortunately, I don't have a match for the position. The applicants do come from the private sector and struggle to understand the role of a Public Works Director. They seem to believe that they were simply a project manager for individual projects and not a department head. In one instance, they also requested almost $15,000 or $20,000 more than what we had advertised. We did re-advertise the position and broaden some of the minimum requirements for the position in hopes to attract more applications. Unfortunately, we have not received any qualified candidates since reposting this position. I will have this position opened through the end of the month, and I will be bringing back a solution for this position for the next commission meeting. Hopefully we'll get a good talent to apply by then. And finally, I know you all have been waiting for this one. Finally, this past Saturday, January 30th, 2021, the village had its Let's Talk Trash, a virtual town hall. I know we were all in attendance, but I do want to provide a recap of the meeting. Although we had community members coming and going throughout the meeting, we had, for most of the presentation, about 60 attendees. Although we kept the comments to about 3 minutes, we did not prevent anyone from speaking multiple times. In total, we received 29 comments or questions. I did my best to address each question as the question was asked. I did group some of the themes of the comments or questions as follows. The overall sentiment from most residents stated was that they were willing to pay more for service as long as it was consistent and quality service, not just to pay more. Residents wanted to preserve the services we have now, such as yard, garbage, bulk, and recycling. Residents made it clear that they wanted weekly yard waste pickup of a minimum of 2 cubic yards picked up by hand weekly. Recycling was brought up with questions if we should continue to have this option. My personal opinion is we keep the service as part of the new RFP and contract, but continue to research for other options that the village can implement. Should we see a viable option for the village, later we can have the vendor cease operations administratively. One resident mentioned instead of a flat rate for everyone, it should be based on property value. Another resident wanted to find a way to assist our senior citizens on a fixed income financially. Some great ideas were also given during the meeting, such as industry innovation for truck efficiencies, as an example, customer service for missed pickups and having regular communication back and forth, somewhat of a contract manager, a biannually pickup for more than 2 cubic yards of yard waste, having minimum number of side yard pickups built into the contract. And many residents also requested that we move service days to Monday for yard waste, bulk, and garbage, and Fridays for garbage and recycling. So what's next? For the next steps, I will have an industry forum to discuss the various parameters, ideas, and service requests. This informal conversation will be used to help shape the scope of work for the RFP. The purpose is to have a scope of work that will attract the most proposals to evaluate and assure that we're receiving what the village is requesting. After the industry forum, I will draft a scope of work and receive some feedback from you all individually as the commission. An RFP will then be advertised and we will follow the proper RFP procedures. After an evaluation committee reviews the bids and makes a recommendation, an item will come before the commission to recommend an award for the highest ranked firm. I anticipate this to be in May. Again, I do want to apologize for the lengthy manager's report, but if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer the best that I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mario. Does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Samaria?
No question. I just want to make a comment. Again, I want to thank the city manager for putting on that workshop. I think that he had the attention of all the residents, and we had, like you said, over 60 participants. So that workshop, I believe, has been the best that I've ever seen any city manager so far since I've been a commissioner that has put on a presentation that you have put on. And so I want to thank you because you did take some inputs from the commission privately, which I think is really good. And I like the fact that you do that. So again, I just want to thank all the residents that participate, and please, continue to be involved.
Thank you so much for your kind words,
Is
sir.
there any other comments on the manager's report?
Yeah, I have just a quick question. Mario, several residents asked if we're going to be able to do an additional town hall, perhaps during the week in the PM. Maybe some people weren't able to get on. Is that something that we're still going to do or planning on doing or not going to do?
Vice Mayor, I was not anticipating to do an additional. The video is linked on our website and on YouTube for everybody to review, and anybody can continue to email me or call me or even yourself if you have additional information, but I'll leave that to the world.
Mario, any other comments? I want to thank you very, very, very much for doing that workshop. I think it was fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioner Kennedy?
Can you guys hear me? There's background noise, and I was having a hard time hearing Mario. Art asked if we were going to do another one, and that's when I started hearing the background noise. Did you say you are open to us discussing that with you now? I didn't hear the last part that you said.
Sure. Again, the video and the presentation is up on our website where residents can send me comments via email or even to the commission. I was not anticipating having another presentation at night, but I leave that at the will of the commission.
Well, then maybe we should discuss. I have a couple of things I want to say, but maybe we should discuss that first because it sounds like Art is indicating that he thinks it might be a good idea. So I'd be curious to, Art, do you think it's a good idea and we should do it? Or were you just saying that people asked for one? You're muted, Art.
I said,
there you
go. I said people were asking for one, but if we're not going to do it, then I suggest that, we continue to reach out to residents and just let them know what we're going to do, that it's the video is available, and that you are willing to answer any questions, so that, you know, everybody can feel like they've contributed to the conversation.
Right, like Mario said, he's open to anybody calling him, any of the residents emailing him after watching the YouTube. So it's up there. Any other?
Right, but I want to comment to that, and then I have something else I want to say. So to what Art just said, I'll agree with that, because if we're not going to do it and we're going to say the video's up and people are willing or more than, you know, able to comment however they choose, we need to do a better job at letting people know that. Because just saying it's up on YouTube and they can email me if they want to is not good enough. We have to make sure that people get the message that it's up on YouTube, and we invite your comments, and here's how we would like to receive them at this address. Or I think we need to do a better job of that. And on Nextdoor, I always say this, we get about 1,000 people who are members. I don't know how many are active. And our email list is only about 500 people that actually go through. So I don't know how you want to do that, but I think the topic is important enough that it merits what Art suggested, and that is taking extra steps to make sure people are aware of the YouTube video and get clear direction on how you want them to reply to you.
Sure, Commissioner, not a problem. I did post recently, I think it was yesterday, that we had the meeting on Saturday and that residents could be able to still view the presentation and look at the PDF version of the presentation. And if they had additional comments or questions to tell me. So I did post that yesterday, but I can continually communicate that out in various different forms, including email blast. And I believe that the homepage of our website as well. So I can continue to do that without any problems.
So you posted it on Nextdoor is what you're saying?
I did on Nextdoor and on the
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So it did get about 30 some odd impressions. So I could do that in a different post, so that we continue to circulate that, as well as doing an email blast about it as well.
Yeah, and the frustrating part of that is that the two ways that we communicate the most, putting it on the website is just checking a box. But the two ways that we actively communicate a message out is Nextdoor and our Nextdoor and email blast, and they don't get to everybody. So that's the frustrating part. And when you work on a better communication with the village overall, that will solve a lot of that. So I just think it's really important, Mario, anything you can do to help spread that word and actively invite response, I think is a very good thing on this topic, because the solution that we come up with is going to be a very long-term solution. And I'd rather deal with people now on the front end of this issue than all the people who got surprised on the back end and said, you did what? When did you do this? I didn't know. And, you know, we didn't try hard enough. So I think it's important that we need to take every step we can, and I'll leave that up to you to how you're going to do that. But I agree 100% with what Art said. Okay, Mario, can you let everyone know the status of the existing Waste Pro contract, please? Because I don't know that was ever announced, was it?
So yeah, we have an extension through June with an increase of the yearly rate from $481 to $484.50.
Okay, and that is through the end of June. And when you say increase, just so people who are out there listening, it doesn't mean that residents are getting an additional bill for this. The residents have already been billed for it. The city will be absorbing that cost from your revenues. Okay, so no one's going to be billed more for this increased fee through the end of June.
Very nominal fee for the rest of the year for all of the residents, and that's something that the village is prepared to deal with.
Okay, very good. So I have one other thing to say about solid waste, and that is I just want to understand the next step part of what you said. I understand that you're suggesting we keep the current service level, and that you will have and you and I discussed this privately, that you'll have opportunity to make changes later on if we determine that we needed to, and that you'll do an industry forum. But then I believe you said after the industry forum, you will discuss with the commissioners individually the components that will go into the RFP.
No, so
is that correct?
We'll draft the scope of work,
right,
part of the RFP, and I will distribute it to, and then we can have an individual conversation if you had any additional feedback or comments. I would be preparing the technical scope of the work.
I understand. Okay. So you share the scope of work with us individually, and then you meet with us each individually, and we share our thoughts, and that's all great. And that's the one little part that I trip over, is at that point, then you're going to take our individual comments that we give back to you based on that scope of work, and you will craft an RFP that will then go out. Correct?
So I will alter the scope of work if I feel that it is prudent, or
right.
how it's already listed. Sometimes, for example, on several items, Commissioner, you have Mario. Why don't you kind of change it this way instead? It just it makes it a little bit clearer. So I'm always open to those comments.
I understand. Okay, and that's the part that I would be more comfortable if there was a change to the system, and that is, you write the scope of work, you give it to the 5 of us, we meet with you, you consider what we said to you. I think at that point, before an RFP goes out, I'd be most comfortable if there was a meeting of the 5 of us with you to discuss it. So we as a group, why not?
Because you would potentially be putting yourself in a situation where you would be voting on an item in which a proposer who may lose might feel that in that meeting you set up the RFP in a way that favored the winner and could set up the village for protest. So,
but we don't know who the winner would be at that point. The RFP wouldn't have even gone out yet.
It
because the scope of work is the framework of the RFP.
Correct.
And if we haven't agreed on that, and you take our comments individually and you go put an RFP out, then you could be putting an RFP out like last time that we aren't happy with, and then we find ourselves in the situation we are now.
Right.
So I don't understand how that. I mean, I'm sure. I'm not saying I don't. What you're saying isn't true. I don't understand why that would be the case. Maybe one of the attorneys wants to step in here, because I feel like if we're discussing it publicly and we don't have any bidders yet, I don't know how anyone could later claim that we rigged the system against them when we don't even know who they are.
When you're taking if you take a vote on the scope of work, then should anything come up during the procurement, I would need a vote which would then further delay the procurement as it is, and we wouldn't be able to follow the deadlines as we did. Secondly, one item as an example in the last RFP that occurred was one of the requirements was to use natural gas trucks. We learned as a village that there's only one company that does natural gas trucks. And so a change was made not to make that a requirement. Should the commission vote on something that we later find out is proprietary to one vendor, then the essence has set itself up to bias itself in that process. And so once from this point, moving forward, technically, the commission should be out of it until an item comes before the commission for a vote of ranking the and awarding the contract. You should not have, realistically, you shouldn't have any input on the technical aspects of the scope of work or the procurement, as it could bias you later when you do go for a vote.
Commissioner Kennedy, can I ask just a quick question before I forget, because I'm getting old? Mario, you said that you were going to be meeting prior to putting out the RFP with vendors, right? To ask them, to speak to them and get their input on the scope of what they're willing to provide us, right? Is that something that you mentioned that, correct?
So it's called an industry forum, and essentially at the meeting, I'll be telling, look, the village is looking at these parameters for services. What are things in the RFP that make it viable for you as a company so that we get the most amount of pay? Not everything that they will tell me I would include, because they will tell me, no, if you make it natural gas only, then that would be amazing. Well, yeah, that's going to benefit you, but not everybody.
But
So,
after you have that forum, will you be able to share that information with us?
I can share the information, again, more so in generality. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said that, so-and-so said this. because they are talking, understanding that it's not a public meeting. It's not a formal meeting. It is more, hey, here are some ideas and things that we like to do, when we're looking to go out for service. But I can't share in generality what was discussed at the meeting. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay. Can we continue on? We have the consent agenda.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I completely understand this, because I don't, my interest is making sure that we don't put out an RFP that we're not happy with again. And I feel like we're setting ourselves up for the possibility. Ed or Valerie, can you jump in here and explain, is that all correct? And is there any way around what Mario just explained to us? Could we approve of scope of work, for example, and approve Mario to make changes later as he sees fit, as he starts getting questions in? Would that kind of cover us in that way?
We're going to talk to the village manager about that tomorrow in our weekly meeting, and we'll have some more clarity for you in the future.
Okay, but you understand, Ed, what I'm concerned about is,
yeah, I do,
sending out a flawed RFP.
But I also understand what he's concerned about, and so we just need to come together on make sure everybody's on the same page.
And I also, Mario, in all fairness, I don't want it coming back on you that, oh, this thing that Mario put out was not good, and now here we are again, and it all falls on you because we weren't a part of that process except individually. Because look, I can share my individual opinion with you, but when we talk as a group, Dan says something, Ginny says something, Judy says something, Art says something, and I'm hearing that and thinking, oh yeah, okay, I like the sound of that. That makes sense. I'll go with that. And then the groupthink comes into play, and I think we make better decisions that way, rather than each of us coming at you, and now you've got to take these 5 opinions and try to figure out how you balance them together. And then it all falls on Mario, you know, and if the RFP is not good, then bam, there it is. It lands on his lap. I just want to make sure we're getting out the best RFP we possibly can, so we get the best bids in and we can put this thing to bed already. Because we already tripped over it one time in a pretty significant way.
I don't think 5 of us will ever agree 100% on anything. So,
well, we don't need all 5 to agree, but you know what I mean.
Manager.
Madam Mayor, I think that we have to trust the city manager. We have been working on this RFP 4 different times. We have had 4 different RFPs. I think that we have to rely on the city manager coming up with a good RFP. He's willing to meet with commissioners privately. Like the mayor says, we're not going to get commissioners. I don't know things about the RFP, so he does. We have to rely on that. We hired him to be our city manager. We have to rely on him that he's going to do what needs to be done. He agreed to meet with each of the commissioners privately and do it. I don't think that we need to have, so you could have your input with the city manager at that particular time. I think that we've been going on this too long. 4 times we have people getting involved in doing this RFP, and it hasn't worked. So I think we have to rely on the city manager, and I'm willing to rely on him.
One last thing.
Well, to be clear, Dan, I don't want to suggest that I'm not trusting Mario to do this. I don't know the number of RFPs that Mario has written in his career. I don't know if he's going to be having someone help him write this. My interest, again, is just making sure it's done well. Roseanne, the account on the screen called Log Cabin, the picture of the room, the mic, there must be a mic attached to that, and it's picking up sound. I see the yellow light flashing, and I'm hearing all this background noise.
The light goes on, and that's the light.
Right, Commissioner, that is where when any member here in person speaks through the microphones, that is where the sound comes in through that.
Okay, so I'm hearing background noise again. Okay, I've said my piece on that.
Okay, can we continue now? Okay, the next.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay. Commissioner Samaria makes a motion for the consent agenda. Do we have a second on that? Okay, Judy Hemmelberg. Okay, you're up, Ed. Ordinance 10A, 2021-02.
We need a vote. We have to take a vote, don't we?
It's a vote on it.
We have to take a vote on it.
Okay. All in favor of consent agenda being approved, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's passed. Ed, 10A, 2021-02, amending the variance notice, second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the Village Commission of the Village of Biscayne Park, Florida, amending section 13.4 variances of chapter 13, Planning Board and Local Planning Agency of the Biscayne Park Land Development Code relating to variances, providing that notification of the quasi-judicial hearing related to a variance request be sent to property owners within 500 feet of the property which is the subject of said variance request, providing for inclusion in the code and scrivener's errors, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
Okay, I'll open up the floor for public
Ma-
comments.
well, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-2, second reading with the
Okay,
changes
can we
that were-
first just make sure that there's no public comments? Does anybody have any comments on that?
Sorry.
I don't see anybody, Roseanne. You don't either?
No.
Okay, Dan, that's now.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. Sorry
That's
about that.
okay. Commissioner Samaria is making a motion to approve 2021-02. Do we have a second
I'll
on that?
second that.
Commissioner Hamilburg. Okay, do we have any?
Need a vote, Mayor.
Yes?
We need a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roseanne, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Pass 5.
Okay. Resolutions.
We have
I'm sorry?
Resolution.
There's a noise that comes from your microphone.
Yeah, that's coming from your phone, Mac.
Now it's better.
We're in item 12, Madam Mayor.
Yes, discussion. Any unfinished business?
None, Mayor.
Is there any unfinished business?
No.
Any new business?
None, Mayor.
Does anybody have a request for items for the next agenda?
Madam Mayor, one of the items that I'm going to be bringing up, I think that we talked about the past, since we have election coming up in 2022, was the charter review, items to be changing in reference to the charter that we want to put on up to date the charter. So I'll
Okay.
be bringing that item up in March.
You want to bring the charter review?
Not, yeah, just what the last commission did.
Okay, at the next meeting. Okay, is there any other items that people want to put on their calendar for next month? Please.
Commissioner Kennedy, I think you had some?
No, I don't have anything.
And Commissioner Gonzalez, Vice Mayor Gonzalez?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Our next commission meeting is going to be March 2nd. Planning and zoning is February 1st. That was yesterday. And also February 15th.
There'll be a love-themed planning and zoning meeting.
I'm sorry?
A short pun with Valentine's the day before. Sorry, bad joke.
Okay. Is there any other items before we Have an adjournment?
No, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Commissioner Samaria made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Good night, everybody. Have a very
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
stay warm.